Hi guys, how you doing? I'm just going to do another quick video on chin-ups and dips. Although I know I've already done one on both of these, but obviously I've noticed in 6 weeks ago, people are, obviously it's great, people are starting to get stronger and they're getting a bit more comfortable with these movements, to the point where, for example, in dips, I'm sort of thinking there's some people that are benefit from going to the next stage, which is to take their feet off the ground and lower themselves down with their feet off the ground. So like chin-ups and dips, I've said to you before, like you need to focus on your form, keep your chest out, your shoulders back and down, same as bench press, same as dumbbell press and things like that. Probably though, as we mentioned, you can't change the weight on chin-ups and dips, so for that reason they're harder exercises to do, and if that exercise movement is harder, it will also be harder to maintain correct form. Same with deadlifts, the heavier you go, the harder it is to not round your back. So it's the same idea with these upper body exercises, and probably the main area where people will feel discomfort if they're not holding correct form is across the sort of clavicle area, shoulder, this area here, this rotator cuff area, and it can cause a bit of discomfort. So you just want to be aware of that and really focus on it, and it's probably harder to maintain that correct form in these exercises because they're so hard. So I just want to go over again a few tips. I know I mentioned it in these exercises, but what I want you to think about doing, okay, is what we don't want to see is your shoulder like coming forward and up towards your ears, okay, it's the same in chin-ups. So if you're going to do a dip and it's because it's really heavy and really hard, that's when people sort of struggle to maintain their form and their shoulders do this and they tend to go down. So this, I wouldn't want to do it, right, because it's just not a good position to be in. It puts, and I'm 90 kilos, right? I don't fancy putting 90 kilos to my shoulder girdle in an incorrect position. So you want to focus on getting your setup position right first. Okay, so in the previous video, that's what I mentioned about like leaning into it slightly. So I want to just take that a step further. Okay, so if you think about it, when you're doing chin-ups, we've asked you to lead with your chest to keep your shoulders back and down. Okay, and it's an upward movement. Okay, so you have to lean back slightly. So this is a movement when you're going downwards. So in essence, you kind of want to do slightly opposite, as instead of leaning back slightly, you want to lean forward slightly, which I mentioned in the video. But let's suppose you get into this position. So what I want you to do, okay, if you feel you're ready to try the dips with your feet off the ground, I want you to start off, like, so some people I think what they're doing is they're taking the feet off the ground, then they're going down. Okay, so the problem with this is, our torso's dead straight, so there's not as much room from our shoulder, this shoulder girdle to move, and there's going to be a gap that gets closed up here. I don't put any big details in it, but basically it puts more pressure through this area and it's more susceptible to causing these strains. So what I want you to think about is start off, I mentioned it at the class all night, but start off here, then imagine your body's on an axis. I want you to tilt the axis slightly like that. So that is just that position there. So what this does is it opens up the shoulder, it really brings the shoulders back a little bit, but also you can see that it engages your triceps a lot better early. So it means that you're engaging the muscles you're trying to use before you try and use them. Which just makes the whole exercise much better, much more beneficial, but unfortunately much harder as well. So the exact same thing with a deadlift. If you round your back to lift it up, most folk do that because it's a shortcut, it makes it easier to lift. Holding your form is harder, but that's because you're doing it properly and you're using the correct muscles. So what we're looking for here is, so position, then axis, lean, right? So you'll also notice this really engages your core muscles. So that should be the position you're in. Then from there you can go down. Okay, at this point, put your feet in the ground, push back up. Okay, and then you can restart. But again, you want to make sure you keep that forward lean. Okay, if you're doing these consecutively, you would maintain the lean throughout. So as you tire, so what we don't want to see is as people tire, they might do this, and then come up. Well, it's okay to come up with that, but as long as before you go into the rep, you're bringing in the lean again, the set position. So think of that lean as your set position, okay? And it just helps, it'll feel much better if you do it. If you're not doing your feet off the ground, you can still do it. Right? So it kind of lends itself to a natural lean anyway. So what we don't want to see is this. Right? You're not going up and down. This is a bad dip. This is not a good dip. So you want to have a lean at your torso, okay? Chest out, shoulders back and down. And then from there, you're going to go down, okay? And then push back up and use your legs to help you. If you're feeling discomfort here, check your position, but also push with your legs more. Let your legs take more of the weight to make it less about here, okay, if you're not quite ready for that. Also, another thing is your forearm position in relation to your wrist. We want you to, that also lends itself to the correct position if you have a forward lean. If you're dead upright, what I'm noticing people are doing, either they're standing here or they're standing here, they're doing this, and their elbows are going back the way, but their wrist is staying here, and the forearm is at this crazy angle here. So you want the most efficient. If you want to apply as much force downwards to go up and down, ideally you want your elbows to be at 90 degrees and your forearms to point down the way as well. So if you're sort of going back the way, there's very little, it's a very inefficient movement. You're not pushing downwards, just pushing down and back, which is going to make it harder to achieve a dip, but it's also going to put huge amounts of force through this wrist, which is going to be uncomfortable. So again, that slight forward lean, whether you're doing it with your feet in the ground or not, allows itself, as you can see, there's less of an angle. It doesn't only go to there as opposed to way back here. So forward lean, it really helps us keep this whole area nice and secure and steady, okay? And it's the same on the dips, okay, sorry, the chin-ups, but instead of a forward lean, it's a slightly back lean. So for example, if you're dead determined to get your chin-ups, the common thing that might happen in the next 6 weeks is because people get closer and closer, they might try and force a wee bit, and the force issue, you might end up kind of like doing all this, and everything comes crunching together, huge amounts of excessive force going through the rotator cuff, which we don't want. So that's why you have a slight lean back. That's why I'm saying to you, lead with your chest, don't lead with your chin. You try to get your chest up to the bar. So this time, you've got a slight backward lean, like there. That helps engage through the lats. Then you pull it up to there, okay, like that. You don't need to get your chin over, okay, just up to there, back down, chest out, lead. So there can be a slight forward lean. What we don't want to see is the opposite. We don't want to see a sort of like this sort of movement here. And that's why for so long we've been focusing on just the eccentrics, because obviously when you're up here, standing here, you can just focus and keep your chest out, and it's much easier, I guess, to maintain that chest out, shoulders back position, but also much harder to then pull back up, okay? And that is why, well, to be honest, that's why you guys are doing so well. I'm amazed, because the form has been terrific. It's why it's so hard, it's why it's taking you so long, because you're doing it correctly. But it's going to take time. So that's why I'm saying the best way forward now for a lot of you is for me or someone else to actually assist you up, so that you're still able to keep leading the chest on the way up, okay, and then you're still maintaining the way back down. So again, that slight forward lean, you're focusing and engaging your core the exact same way you're wanting to do on the dips. Slight axis forward, then go down, okay, and the dips will just feel so clean. It'll feel nice here. There's no reason, like a dip, when I'm doing dips like the body weight, it allows me to do the exact same thing when I'm doing them with like 60k or attached, like the same things apply. And I've got absolute confidence that it's not going to ever be an issue, because I've built it up gradually. It's the same for you guys at any level. It's just a piece of building it up, but building up with the correct form, okay? So you're keeping an eye on the movement. That's why when I'm doing body weight or whatever weight it is, on the weighted ones, I always like to control and do a wee bit slower on dips on the way down. And not so much for the chin-ups, but certainly the way down, because the start of it, it's an eccentric phase. So I just like to focus coming down, like there, and then powering up. But just keep a bit of control. And I think I probably focus even more on controlled slow reps the heavier I go, because I'm aware that it's harder to maintain your form. So you guys are in the same boat, so really focus on keeping a nice position to your shoulders, chest, shoulders back. Okay, so hope that helps. 6 weeks to go, 5.5.